Are you aware of the ongoing power crisis in South Africa?
The country's power crisis has affected economic growth.
We continuously see the disheartening effects of the power cuts on all of us, from schools to hospitals to homes.
Do we have inspiring political leadership able to fix our ailing power utility?
In 2023, the country is estimated to suffer a historic economic loss of $12.7 billion due to this issue, as reported by the South African Reserve Bank. Since 2007, Eskom, the state power utility, has been struggling to meet the country's electricity demand, leading to frequent load shedding or deliberate power cuts. Unfortunately, the situation is getting worse every year. In 2022, South Africa experienced 206 days of load shedding, a significant increase from 75 days in 2021. And in 2023, things may not get any better, as there have been daily power cuts so far, with only one day being exempted. This is quite alarming, especially since Eskom was once considered one of the best power companies in the world. Now, it's regarded as the biggest threat to the country's economy. So, what went wrong?
The government has to stand behind Eskom, because Eskom is just too big to fail.
Tell the country there will never be load shedding again.
The roots of the problem lie in Eskom's dominant role in generating and supplying around 95% of all electricity in South Africa. Established in 1923, Eskom's growth was accelerated by the expansive gold mining industry. The 1970s marked a critical period for South Africa, defined by rapid industrialization and significant challenges. At that time, the world was hit by a global oil crisis. South Africa, already facing international criticism and sanctions due to its apartheid policy, found itself in a uniquely difficult position. Isolated from traditional energy suppliers, the government was compelled to secure energy independence at any cost. Fortunately, South Africa possessed abundant coal reserves, leading Eskom to embark on an ambitious plan of constructing additional coal power stations. However, this would end up being a costly investment decision, as Eskom has built more capacity than it needed. The demand for electricity had dropped due to the economy slowing down. Despite these challenges, Eskom later launched the Electricity for All campaign, with the goal of expanding electricity access and ramping up demand. During apartheid, the grid was designed to mainly serve white neighborhoods, leaving a vast majority of black South Africans without power. The new government initiated multiple electrification programs, and by the late 1990s, millions more South Africans had access to electricity. Despite the additional demand and economic growth, Eskom did not expand its generation capacity. Warnings went unheeded as signs of an imminent power crisis emerged. The Department of Minerals and Energy's 1998 white paper sounded the alarm, cautioning that the demand for electricity could outstrip the supply by 2007. Despite these early indicators, action was delayed, leaving the nation on the precipice of an impending disaster. The government's response to the problem was slow and inadequate. It prohibited Eskom from building urgently needed power plants, and despite approving the sourcing of 30% of new electricity generation from independent power producers in 2003, the contract bidding process was delayed until 2011. As electricity demand continued to rise, Eskom was forced to run its aging power plants harder and defer vital preventative maintenance, making them more vulnerable to faults and breakdowns. Although the government eventually allowed Eskom to build new power plants in 2005, precious time had been wasted. The devastating impact of corruption on Eskom is truly staggering, severely undermining all efforts to revive and transform the company. Allegations of corruption involving high-ranking officials, most notably the Gupta family during the reign of former President Jacob Zuma, have plagued the company. The Guptas were accused of leveraging their connections to the president to secure lucrative contracts and influence key appointments at Eskom. In 2017, a leaked report by the South African Public Protector revealed that Eskom's CEO and board unlawfully awarded a coal supply contract to a Gupta-owned company, Tegeta Group. This 10-year contract was secured at a higher price than other bidders, despite the company's coal samples being repeatedly rejected for their low quality, leading to multiple plant breakdowns. It is just one of many corruption allegations that have marred Eskom's reputation. Misuse of funds, irregularities in contract awards, and mismanagement have also been reported, further exacerbating the crisis. In 2020, Andre de Ruyter took on the role of CEO to steer Eskom in the right direction. However, his efforts were met with resistance. After exposing the presence of mafia-like crime syndicates operating within Eskom, de Ruyter faced backlash from the ruling party, ANC. During a subsequent interview, de Ruyter revealed that Eskom was losing 1 billion rand per month due to corruption and meddling involving the ANC. When he reported this to a senior government minister, he claimed to have been told to let people eat. Although the ANC denied these allegations, it shed light on the deep-rooted corruption undermining Eskom's revival efforts. Shockingly, he was targeted in a suspected poisoning attempt when his coffee was allegedly laced with cyanide. The consequences of corruption extend beyond financial woes. Eskom's fleet of aging and poorly maintained coal power plants frequently experience breakdowns, jeopardizing the reliability of the electricity supply. Furthermore, the construction of Eskom's newest coal power plants, Kusile and Medupi, was plagued by claims of corruption and cost overruns, further hindering the company's progress. In addition, there has been a significant brain drain at Eskom, with numerous talented individuals departing from the company, leaving it with a shortage of qualified personnel. These issues have contributed to Eskom's staggering debt, which stands at around $23 billion, rendering the company unable to service it. To alleviate the situation, the government decided to take on 254 billion rand of Eskom's debt. However, the challenges do not end there. South Africa also faces international pressure to transition away from coal due to climate change concerns. With 86% of its electricity generated from coal, the need for a shift towards cleaner energy sources becomes increasingly urgent. South Africa received $10 billion in funding at COP27 to support this transition, but an estimated 1.5 trillion rand will be required over the next 5 years. As the energy sector evolves with the introduction of independent power producers, the energy source mix will eventually change. Yet, for the time being, South Africans must endure the challenges and hardships that accompany this ongoing power crisis.